Hello and welcome to In Step Devotion. This is the third week in Lent, and our lectionary readings are from Exodus chapter 20, verse 1 through to 17, and also Psalm 19. Our devotion is entitled Instructions of Love, Instructions for Life. Now, when growing up, my mother's house had many rules. Must all eat together rule, must be home by 5 p.m. rule, bedtime rules, what to wear and not to wear rules, what to do with money given by visitors rules, many rules. When I challenged some of these rules, when I rebelled against them, she always said, "This is my house, I make the rules here. When you go to your own house, you will make your rules, and when I come visiting, I will obey them." Rules. Rules define persons, they define places, they define processes. Rules are inevitable. Nature is full of inevitable rules. And this reality of rules spreads from nature into the day-to-days of human existence. Even those who label themselves free spirits are not as free from rules as they claim. Rules are loved and hated, hated by those who feel constrained by them, loved by those who the rules work for. God's act of giving the 10 Commandments formed the essential and inevitable nature of rules. God had engaged our first parents, Adam and Eve, in the same way. What Adam and Eve did not appreciate was that God gave the instructions for their own good, for their own good life. Now, God loves before he instructs. God loves, therefore he instructs. God's instructions are therefore always expressions of God's love. If people took this love-motivated perspective of God's instructions, there would definitely be more cooperation with God's laws. If humanity understood and received God as the active architect and sustainer of the universe, we would take his instructions very seriously. We would listen to God as the ground of all knowledge, essential for the daily navigation of our earthly existence. If humanity understood God as one who understands the complexity of simultaneous systems alive in the world, we would wait on God as the voice of ultimate wisdom when making choices at the crossroads of life. The first commandment mentions other gods. This affirms that other gods, though dead, exist. They not only exist, but they are attractive enough to distract humanity from the true God. The other gods, in their deadness, have their sales speech. They are convincing enough to win some. But the true God says no to other gods, not because of fear of competition, but because of his knowledge that other gods, just as they are dead, lead to death. They come to kill. Therefore, the commandment to stay away from other gods is an instruction soaked and wrapped in love. Your Creator God knows that other gods are not good for you. In reality, other gods have their set of commandments and their instructions are not always light. They have their menu of heavy demands. When your commitment to them is sealed, they promise speedy delivery. When Jehovah asks you to be patient and wait, other gods mock and ask, "Why wait?" The instructions God gives, therefore, are not always readily accepted. They have to navigate the headwinds of human pride, turbulence of doubts, and the heat of human impatience. The headwind, turbulence, and heat, like the serpent of Eden, oppose the authenticity of God's voice. In sowing doubt, they create a gap for other voices, other gods. These are gods which human beings can hire and manipulate. But can human beings desert these gods at will? They would wish so, but it is not always so easy. Why? These other gods are guises of the grip of darkness. Other gods will never release you voluntarily. Darkness does not release souls from its belly without a fight. Evil will not just watch you as you walk out on it into the light. You do not acknowledge the sweetness of a rule until you know the pain of rebelling against it. Like was with the prodigal son, experiments with fake light will plunge you to a darkness so thick that it shocks your senses back to life. The question is, can you find your way out? Will you let pride and shame stand in the way of your return to the same home you mocked? Faraway lands are lands far away from the Father's love. Faraway lands bring you nearer to the true colors of darkness. God, your architect, knows that you are a creature of choice. God will let you experiment with what you insist. But your experiments with other voices, other gods, will return the same result. God is your native home, and love is God's native language. At the end of the day, just as at the end of time, you will realize that God's instructions are strictly for your good life. It is God's will, therefore, that whatever scales cover our eyes and distort the beauty of God's instructions, presenting them as warped, suspect, wrong, dim, rickety, worthless, and sour, will fall off to reveal God's instructions as sweeter than honey, more precious than gold, firm, radiant, right, trustworthy, and perfect. God bless you. This has been In Step Devotion.